Hello everyone and welcome to a very quick episode of Rock and Roll English, because I will be honest, this is the week where we normally have a podcaster or a YouTuber, and I've been pretty busy recently, so I don't have that for you. But what I do have is episode 0 of the Rock and Roll English family podcasts. Okay, remember, there are nearly 900 of these extra podcasts to listen to. Okay, when the Rock and Roll English family started in 2018, I actually made 5 podcasts a week, and then after a few months I started making 6 podcasts a week. So that's why there are a lot, and I mean a lot, of these podcasts. And I recently made an episode 0 for these podcasts because I obviously didn't do that in 2018. That would have been an intelligent thing to do, so I didn't do that, but I made one recently. So I want you to listen to this episode 0 just so you can have a think, okay, about all of those episodes that you have not heard. So I'm going to stop talking now and I will speak to you again at the end. Happy listening. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 0 of Rock and Roll English Family. Obviously I didn't record this when I started this podcast because I was not intelligent enough to do that. So I'm recording this 4 years later, and if you are listening to this, it means you are going to start an incredible journey with me, as in these 700 plus, there are more than 700 official episodes of the Rock and Roll English Family podcast. And in all of these episodes, let me tell you, a lot has happened in my life. I am recording this now in 2022. I started in 2018. Only 4 years, but believe me, a lot has happened. And I will take you on this journey with me and my friends where we talk about things that are not safe for the public Monday podcast. So you will often hear in the episodes, it's okay to say here, this is the family podcast, because for me, the Rock and Roll English family is an extension of my real family. For me, there is Mrs. R&R, Baby R&R, and the Rock and Roll English family. So that's why I talk, and also my friends talk, about more personal things here. So right now it is like you are going on a time machine and moving back to 2018, and you will hear me talk about the difficulties I had starting this members area. You will also experience the very difficult and horrible moment that Dan the man and I passed together, which was one of the worst moments of my life, where we actually stopped talking and I thought I'd lost a true friend. But luckily everything is fine again, and you will also experience my happiness of when we got back in contact. You will also see why I changed the name of the podcast from Full Volume to Rock and Roll English Family. You will share my excitement as I buy a house in Sicily, the difficulties to decorate that house. You will also hear me talk about people in my life that have inspired me, like my grandfather, things that I would never say on the normal podcast, basically because I'm worried that my friends will listen and then make fun of me. But on this podcast, they don't listen, so they can't hear, so I can talk about much more personal things. You will also live the joy of when Mrs. R&R said yes to marry me, how excited I was, and then how devastated I was when our wedding was cancelled. I actually talk about that very, very specifically and in detail, when I was experiencing that during lockdown and our wedding got cancelled, how devastated I was. You will even hear my wedding speech. I even shared that with the Rock and Roll English family, and obviously the joy of when baby R&R was born, and also why I decided to move back to England, and even when I actually made that decision. You will hear exactly that. And just like the people in the podcast, you will become a close friend of mine. I am friends with all of the active members in the family area for this reason, because they have lived these experiences with me. They have seen the great moments in my life and the difficult ones, just like friends do. They have heard all of the stories, and now you are going to hear them too. And you will even hear some of their stories, as there are many episodes where I speak directly to family members, which is why there are nearly more than 900 episodes in total. And very soon I will do a podcast with you. So enjoy the Rock and Roll English family roller coaster that you are about to take. Remember, you can always contact me at any time if you need any help with anything. So I will talk to you personally very soon. But in the meantime, just keep on rocking, baby. So there we have it, episode 0 of the Rock and Roll English Family Podcast. And funnily enough, one of the things I spoke about in that episode you just listened to is exactly something that happened in last week's family episode. In fact, you can listen to it right here, just this little snippet. So I do have something to talk about, very much connected to what we spoke about in yesterday's podcast, which again, the reason I didn't speak about that on the Monday podcast is because that's the public podcast. Okay, so I'm mentioning this is actually what gave me the idea for the episode. So I think I'm actually going to have to talk quietly because the neighbours are quite closely attached here. Okay,
so they can hear you.
I went out with baby R&R for a walk the other day, and the neighbour stopped me. And then he said, but obviously I cannot let you listen to all of it. So if you want to listen to all of that one particular episode and all of the other hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of episodes, go to rockandrollenglish.com/family. Thanks a lot for listening. I will talk to you all very soon, people. But in the meantime, just keep on rocking, baby.